thank you so much for taking some time out of your day to talk to us here at Her Football Hub. So, you're finally an official Fylde player. How's it feeling? You're feeling part of the squad now officially, you're no longer on loan, it's all official, you got your season started. Talk me through it.
Yeah, so I joined last season from Sheffield United on loan, this season permanent move, and it was just one of them. I was really comfortable, I knew the girls, so I knew from last season I was a club that I wanted to be a part of, so when the opportunity came I took it. It's really competitive, which is good, and it's a great environment. So it's great to be at the club. We've got really good ambitions and high ambitions, which is again one of the reasons that I wanted to stay. So it's just making sure that we meet them goals and really try and push on this season.
Yeah, 100%. I can feel that as well, as you've shown us around. You've given us a brief tour around the facilities here. They're obviously really impressive. Yeah. What's it like as a women's player having this kind of support? Obviously Fylde really support their women's team, they're really pushing it. That must be really an edge for you as players.
It's amazing. I think it's more, I've been here as an opposition player, when I was with Blackburn when I was 16, so I was on the bench and it was just, I really got to soak the day up. So you know what it feels like as an opposition player to come to this ground. So a lot of the grounds we play at are lower league, and obviously this is a lower league team as such, but the stadium and the facilities compete with some in League 1, League 2.
Yeah.
So it's more, you can see girls who come here to play are excited to be here, which sort of makes you a bit proud, but you're already in their head because it is such a wonderful just facility. So it's great to be here when we get to play here on Sundays, and obviously we train down the road at the education centre, which is just amazing. It's a quality facility, and it's just, you know, you've got training pretty much every week, which is massive sometimes.
Yeah.
But yeah, it's really, it gives us the edge of, we feel professional as much as we can. A lot of these girls, all of us have part-time jobs or are in education, so to feel as professional as we can is massive. It's really important.
Yeah, and adding to that as well, obviously you play your home games here at Mill Farm.
Mm-hmm.
Not many women's teams ground share with the men's. It's something that the higher level teams have just started to experiment with. There's a few clubs like Birmingham that have been doing it for a while, but it's a relatively new thing in the women's game, but not for Fylde. What's that like as a player, like to turn up here? Obviously the attendances this season as well have been going up, so you must be starting to hear those kind of football noises that should be associated with the game at this level.
I think that's the main thing. Is our first game this season, I think we had over 100, which was massive compared to like most times we're just playing in front of friends and family, people you've known, people who come in, but to have people in the crowd that you don't know, it is really cool. So it was good to be playing and to hear shouts and to hear people sort of criticising the opposition from the stands. It made you feel like you were at a football game for once. So that's really good, and obviously with the past week or so there's been people, you know, the women are playing at the men's stadiums. For us that's something that happens pretty much every home game, so I think we are ahead in that sense, but at the same time we've still got catching up to do with matching our performances to what we want for the ambition of the club. Yeah,
it's testament to the mentality of the club as well, and the things that you've just said, that you're heavily influencing the back room of the club as well. Tell me a little bit about that, talk me through it.
Yeah, so I currently study in multimedia sports journalism at UCFB, so I do all of the women's media. So I work closely with Luke, who's the head of men's media and the head of sort of everything that you see, whether it's on social media or the website.
Yeah.
So I basically do that for the women's side, so anything you see on Twitter. We got rid of our old Facebook page because it was it hadn't been used for 4 years, so it was pointless in us starting it up, so we started a brand new one, trying to follow us up on that. We're looking into different avenues of how we can engage with fans as much as we can to get them to want to come. Because I think sometimes that was the main issue last season, of once a fan had come to Mill Farm, they realised what a facility it was. There's Bradley's Bar, there's a restaurant, it's amazing. So once they come, they always wanted to come back. It was never an issue, but it was actually getting them to know what is here and where it is. So for us it was really getting us out there as much as we can and making sure the communication with the men's media and the men's team was there. So I think that's our main thing, was to get attendances up and to get, which has happened slowly but steadily, that's what's happening. But yeah, for us, for me, it's more putting the right image out there, making sure everything we're putting out is consistent, is as professional as possible, which has been a task, but we're slowly doing it, and we've had good feedback from people. And obviously with our new sponsor, we've just been sponsored for our shirt by Pretty Little Thing,
nice.
Which is massive for
Massive
us.
coup, that.
And I think that's partly helped it. Of our social media is really good. People can now follow games, and it's not just me, it's a group effort from all the girls. So a lot of the time when our live matches are getting tweeted, it's someone on the bench, it's someone who's injured, and that's just the way we have to do it at the moment, because we don't have the size or the budget to have 4 or 5 media personnel, but it's working, and it's what's helping us.
Yeah, it gets the club out there, doesn't it? Any sort of fan involvement is key to growing the game, and that's what everyone involved in the sport wants. And it must be incredible to be a part of that at such a notable club. You recently took on a role with Kick It Out under the Game Changers programme. Tell me a bit more about that.
Yeah, so it's a mentoring programme in partnership with the UEFA Foundation and the Premier League. So we've just come back from a seminar in September up in the Premier League headquarters, and it's 16 to 25-year-olds, and we're all involved in football in some way, whether it's coaching or playing or a media or sort of behind the scenes role, and it's just creating a generation of young people who want to change football. So it's last seminar we had with Sir Paul Grant, and he spoke about leadership and qualities and things like that, and it's all skills and things that we can take into our work or into our education, and it's about making a change that we can within society, within football. It's all about equality, and obviously Kick It Out do a lot of work with racism. We also want to talk about homophobia and sexism within football, which is still rife and still massive. So it's really about what sorts of things we can do to target and to, eradicate that in the game. So as part of the panel was people who worked on the reporting app and things like that, and learning about how we can report it or what changes we think can be made, and it's just about really trying to make football a safe space for everybody and as many people as we can. So we're trying to come up with things that we can do as a little group that sort of raises awareness and makes that change instead of just talking about it and coming up with ideas.
What an incredible role. It must be really, you must be proud to be part of something like that, changing the game.
It's great just to go to the Premier League headquarters. It's amazing in there, and to be a part of that for a year or so it's an honour, and it's something that will stay and it stays with you, and it's something that you'll have forever basically. But
it's a legacy as well, isn't it? Like the work you do there, that stays forever, isn't it?
And the people we've met as well, like I've met people from across the country, but we're all across from the UK, and you obviously wouldn't have come across them before, but the connections and the network and opportunities as well are just unbelievable. So it's a really great role.
Obviously Fylde have taken the step that a few clubs are doing now, the really positive step of rebranding to women. What was that like from a club perspective? How does it feel as a player? And what kind of impact has it had on the club as a whole?
Yeah, it was massive. So we knew of the change at the beginning of the season. It was something that we wanted to do. We just had to wait for the okay, basically. So we sort of threw ideas around of how we wanted to announce it, and how we'd seen other teams announce it, what we noticed, what we didn't notice, which was the main thing. We didn't want to announce it and somebody just scroll past it and be like, oh wow, that's their name, cool. So what we thought was basically we wanted to do an announcement video as close as we can, sort of announcing that we've changed from ladies to women. It's a step towards quality, a step towards being more professional, but we wanted to do it as it looked as high budget and as professional as we could. So
it really did come across that way as well. We watched it in the offices and we were really taken aback by it. It was a really high level, well thought out, well executed video, and it really did catch the attention, I think, of a lot of people.
So I basically come up with the idea and the storyboard as such of what we wanted to, in collaborations with our videographer and photographer George, and he came in on the day and shot it along with 2 of our players, Laura Merrin, Danielle Young, our captain, and myself, and Conrad and Kim, who's our new assistant manager. So I've been behind the scenes and been privileged enough with Sheffield to do the kit launch and to do the season ticket campaign.
Yeah.
So that was just being a stand-in sort of like model type person of where the kids stand here, do that. But I kind of just soaked up what was getting said, how it was getting said, who done what, and really picked the brains of people. So when we said that we were going to do that, I kind of had a vision in my mind, and obviously when we spoke to George, we made sure that that came across as best as we could. I think by the end of like the week, we'd had something like 23,000 views, and our like impressions on Twitter went up to like over 250,000.
That's incredible.
So we as a club kind of got a bit more notice, but as a women's team, the men's team, the backroom staff, the boardroom sort of took a bit more notice of us as well, and it was a proud moment for a lot of us for something like that to be so big. It was just, again, like we said, it's just keeping that ambition and that drive on the pitch as well as off it.
Georgia, talk me through some of your aspirations as a player, but also they must kind of mirror the club. It's a forward trajectory that the club is on, and obviously your career as well, like you're a first team starter here, that's massive for you, having the transfer as well. Talk me through how that's feeling and where you feel like you're going and you're heading towards.
For me, it's always been my ambition is to play at the highest level I can. I think looking around at a lot of the girls my age, I think it was kind of not frowned upon, but sort of looked at when I did step down, because a lot of the girls when I was 17, 18 and I made the jump to Sheffield at the first, it was more, they were still in development squads of the higher level teams, higher tier teams in the WSL, teams in the Championship. Obviously when I joined Sheffield, they were in the league below Fylde now. But for me it was just regular game time, and that's all I've ever wanted, and all I'll continue to want is wherever I can get regular game time, develop is where I'll go.
What kind of impact do you feel like? Obviously the World Cup was a massive statement for women's football. Mm-hmm. It's really put it back on the map for a lot of people that maybe looked at it once before and then started to overlook it again. Mm-hmm. It's people like yourself doing social media work and events like the World Cup that are bringing it into the foresight. What kind of impact do you think that World Cup has had on the women's game?
It's had a massive impact of just the everyday people now know the names of the England team, people know the names of the England manager, and I think that again Phil Neville stepped in and he was a notable name, and it has helped people know what's going on, who the next match is, and obviously the past weekend, the opening weekend, the attendances have been sky high. But I think importantly it's that it's backed up, that continues throughout, that the lower leagues get the support that they need as well. It's the same as the men's, the support your local team type thing. But I also think it's important that behind the scenes things are stepped up as well, so the constant contracts are looked at, medical support, all that's needed, because at the end of the day women sometimes still are part-time and still are semi-pro, but they are working at the same hours of a full-time job. It's never a part-time job, football, ever. So the privileges of medical attention or physios or other things are still needed to be recognised, and they still need to be the same as maybe the men. Yeah,
and it's clubs like Fylde and some other clubs have picked up on it, integrating with the men and letting facility sharing and ground sharing. Like Fylde was one of the first clubs to let the women play and encourage it on the men's ground, and it's slowly starting to creep up the leagues, but it must be a nice feeling to be at a club where that's already the set standard. Mm-hmm.
Yeah, it's brilliant, especially this season. I think we'll probably have more games at Mill Farm than we had ever before, and that's down to the communication between the women's and the men's side. We've tried to make the men's fixtures and our fixtures not clash, because we realise we play better when we're on Mill Farm, we feel better as a team, the attendances are able to go higher. It's like I said before, once you come, you want to keep coming back. But like I said, the other stadium that we play at as well, Kelmere Park, was the men's old ground and their training ground still. So it's still very much integrated, and there's a different feel of that ground. Sometimes we prefer that ground over this ground depending on the opposition. But it's great to be integrated because it just makes us feel a bit more professional, a bit more looked after.
Yeah, you can really sense that as you've shown us around, it really comes across. Georgia, thank you so much for talking to us today at Her Football Hub. We really appreciate your time. It's been an absolute pleasure.
Thanks a lot. Thank you.